This is Lisanne.
Hi.
What will you be teaching us today?
Today I'm going to draw some selfies, old-fashioned selfies, just like Rembrandt used to draw. And I'm going to draw with red chalk. I'm going to experiment with emotions, expressions, different outfits.
Okay, cool.
So, I'm going to give a small introduction about the materials we are about to use today. So, I'm going to use a natural red chalk, which is a mineral. And in Rembrandt's time, people used to cut these up in pieces. They were sold. This one is actually from Germany. And then you could end up with pieces of chalk like this after it was grinded. This is actually quite hard to come by nowadays. So what you could do is buy a modern equivalent. And I'm going to start with a nice self-portrait made with red chalk. I'm going to apply this to my board. Some tape needs to hold this. You see, the red chalk is quite contagious. If you don't like dirty hands, well, use aluminiumfoil. You can just wrap it around your piece of chalk.
Or you can put a piece of red chalk in a bamboo pen, as Lisanne will be doing. You can use sandpaper to sharpen the end of the chalk.
So now, I'm actually going to transfer this composition onto my own piece of paper. And before I do that, I start with looking at the composition. What is to the left of the middle? Well, the eye, the left eye. And what's to the right of the middle? Nose, the right eye, and the chin. But I'm looking at the white space around the form to get a feeling for what I need to leave open. This is going down. This here. I'm looking at the residual space right now. Okay, where does it end? Here, there's actually quite some open. You see that I leave small marks because, you know, the red chalk is actually hard to erase. Yeah, okay. Als die daar is. Quick outlines then. Okay, this is there. Well, slightly this. Okay, right of the middle. And actually quite, if I look at his little head, his nose is quite in the middle. So that's actually quite high. It's here, isn't it? A little bit to the right. And then here is also a part. Going to draw the outlines of his face. I always find it nice to start with the face. I think. Okay, this line goes like this. And if I hold my pen like this, I can transfer it like this. I have an idea of how diagonally this line needs to go. So you keep measuring, Good start. Now I'm going to try to see where his mouth starts. Well, it's still in the jaw. It's quite in the middle of the paper, actually. Okay, this is my middle. So it needs to be here, I think. Then his eye. Where does his eye start? To the right. Oh well. Well, the left eye is slightly lower than the right eye. Slightly too low on this part of it.
Rembrandt often wore hats in his self-portraits, which creates just a little more dynamic and contrast.
Here. And this is quite round. Good. We have a start. I'm going to continue with the face to make some more details. Now I'm going to apply some nose. And this nose ends here. Then I'm going to apply some hatchings. Always take a good look at the hatchings of your painting. Don't just do something, give yourself some time to look. And these under his chin go this way. Actually, go. Then here, the hatching should actually... Try not to put so much pressure on my point, because it's always easier to make it darker than to make it lighter. So, okay. These lines are the darkest over here. Not this. This goes this way. A lot of hatching. Might remind you of edges, maybe. It's also possible to create a smooth surface with this natural chalk. And I'm going to do that in the part of the shadow, so over here. First, I'm going to apply a smooth surface with, well, the back of the thing, not with the points, but with the side. And then I'm going to hatch on top of it again. Good. Yeah, you see. Apply it a little bit over his eye. So this is a nice feature, red chalk, I think. Here it's slightly darker. You see, this has already a different color than the other red chalk. The other red chalk is slightly more purple, but that's just a nice effect, so that's all right. Good. Okay, now I'm going to apply some lines. First, let's see where here his eyebrow is. His eyebrow starts right here. Using the point again. Well, so yeah, you're starting to see that I placed the left eye a little bit too low, but we try to get the feeling of Rembrandt and his technique. Make sure, if you do this at home, that you place the eye slightly higher. His head is I'm going to here. Yeah, and then you continue this until it's dark enough. Keep hatching. His hair consists of hatches all the way down next to the ear. Make it a little darker like this, and here around the ear it's slightly darker. Then you get some curls. Just freely, try to do this freely as possible. Okay, look at your model, but it needs to be fluffy. Here he applies thick lines. Just be confident. Doesn't matter if it's not really correct. So small hatching lines versus a little bit darker by smoothing it like that. And then some confident thick lines. Try it yourself. In order to create depth and structure, also pay attention to the direction that the lines go in the head. It really makes a difference if they go this way or that they go this way. Sometimes he makes use of cross hatchings, like over here. Some of them go this way, some of them go this way. What you do is creating depth by alternating the direction of the lines. Here it's really dark, so I have to scratch again. When you go to his color, try to loose lines. Goes approximately down, then up. And here you get this. A little bit too up. You know what? We go down. Here we're going to do something else. We are going to apply some pressure later on, but first some details here. Try to catch the lines here. They are thicker. Where are they thicker? Not under his nose. Yeah, that's approximately here. hop. Go this way, and here it's important it goes this way. Up. Where do they stop? Oh, thick lines here. Where do I miss some depth? Here. Yeah, some lines over here. Well, I hope you had fun.
Did you?
I absolutely did. Let's go on to the next one. Now we learned how to draw with natural chalk. In this next phase, we're going to put the emphasis on expression. Rembrandt made many self-portraits, and not all of those portraits were very charming. This one, for instance, has a more surprised gaze, maybe even slightly duck face. It's an etching, a really small etching, and we enlarged it so it's easier to transfer this to our paper with red chalk. Again, we're going to look at his face, but especially the space around his face. Here it touches slightly. It's just under the middle here. I think maybe some. His mouth is actually quite in the middle of the painting. Oh, that's good to know for the drawing. Slightly inside. Yeah, and if that part is there, then if you cut this part in half, this is over there. So that must be here. Nice little under chin. Yeah, it's right. His ear is right above his mouth. This is the mouth, it's slightly too high. Ends in the middle, hier zo ongeveer. This part of the jaw is lower than this part of the jaw. This eye is slightly lower. And where does it start? Here. Go up. His eyes are wide open. In despair. So now I'm going to try adding slightly more shadows by hatching and going forward and back into applying details and hatching. It's more feeling and going forth and back, and what I can do is adding this a little bit more so we have a little more feeling for this, slightly here. Take a good look at how he builds up his shadows. He does that with hatching and cross-hatching.
During the process, you will often need to resharpen your chalk. You can do this with sandpaper, use a small grater, or even something like a roof tile. It's all about the right texture.
Collecting this Can paint with it later.
In one of our next episodes, we will show you how to make your own paint using these pigments, just like Rembrandt did.
Now we continue drawing. You see what cross-hatchings do, huh? They create deep depth. Frown a little bit. Like, no way. I find this expression quite complex because he's of course surprised, but also there's some kind of shock in his eye. Like you just told him something that he just won't believe. And some here this way. Moustache à la Salvador Dali. I find this a funny part because you see he's looking for his lines as well, and then I think he chooses eventually to take this part of his neck. Before that he had some lines which he tried to find this one. Just my own hypothesis. Hairs. What do I actually see? Lines go this way. Here they go slightly horizontal, and then there's some frizzy hairs in between. Of course, he also paid attention to the hairs, but also to the background. This indicates where the lights come from. Yeah. Don't forget to put your own signature underneath if you draw your own face. Over there.
Thanks for this lesson, Lisanne. See you next week.